It's hard to believe, but the PS5 launched exactly a year ago yesterday in the UK, and to celebrate the first anniversary of Sony's latest console, I've been doing a special two-part episode where I look back at all of the PS5 Platinum trophies that I have managed to unlock in the first year of the console's lifespan. Needless to say, I've been quite busy this first year of PS5 gaming, having unlocked multiple Platinum trophies for some great games and some not so great games. This is that one bullshit PlayStation trophy, and this is every PS5 Platinum I've unlocked. And if you missed the first part, be sure to check it out, because there's 15 Platinums covered in that mammoth video. Well, with that out of the way, let's get on with part 2, shall we?
That one bullshit PlayStation trophy.
The 16th PlayStation 5 Platinum I unlocked was the Master of Crashes Platinum trophy in Wreckfest, which is a really cool Destruction Derby type racing game that was free on PlayStation Plus at one point in the year, and it's an absolutely fantastic game. It's my favourite racing game on the console, and it's just a really fun game to play, and even funner going for the Platinum trophy, because there's only around 21 trophies in total for you to collect, and none of them are really that taxing. The only one that might give you a bit of trouble is the Human Lover trophy, which requires you to win 20 events in multiplayer. But if you've got a friend or someone who can boost it with you, you can get that trophy in about 5 to 10 minutes. The rest of them will just come through just playing career mode. You don't have to beat every single event, you can do it on easy, and yeah, it's just a fun adventure and a really cool racing game. So the next Platinum trophy I got was the Ethan Winters Platinum trophy for beating Resident Evil Village, and this was one that I was kind of just disappointed with. I didn't really like this game. I absolutely loved 7, but Village just didn't really do it for me. I found the Village setting just rather boring and tedious to constantly loop around, and whenever you uncovered a new area, it just wasn't really that interesting. I thought the castle section at the start was probably one of the better parts of the game, but when they've done the big, large, indestructible enemy that chases you around the place for like the past 5 games in a row or whatever it's been, it kind of gets a bit stale, and the rest of the game, it was fun, but it didn't really feel like a classic Resi for me, and it just wasn't that great, I don't think. And trophy-wise, it's a fairly standard list, with the only one that will give you trouble is the sort of, I can't remember if it was called Mercenaries mode, but the trophy for beating all of them with an S rank, all 8 stages I think it was for beating them with an S rank, that was the hardest one, and I almost gave up at one point because some of the score points for that were just really tight, and it's quite a long process of going through a level, and you've got to try and keep your combo going by getting kills and moving through the area quickly, so that one's probably your biggest challenge. The rest of them were just the standard sort of trophies from a Resident Evil game. I think there might have been one for like doing it without using a box, and you know, those sort of standard ones that you get in Resi games these days. But yeah, overall, this was a disappointing game for me, and a kind of a disappointing Platinum journey. Resident Evil Remake and the Resi 2 and even 3 remakes Platinum journeys were a lot more fun than this one. Maybe it's because Mercenaries just left a bitter taste in my mouth, but yeah, it just wasn't a fun game, I didn't think. It's probably one of the more weaker Resident Evils in recent memory, I think. Thankfully, the next Platinum I got, the Masters of the Multiverse trophy for beating Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, was a lot more enjoyable and fun to go through. So I'm a big fan of the Ratchet and Clank games anyway, and this one, it did live up to my expectations because I did find it a fun game to play through. The open world sort of designs of the levels, the more wider open areas, were fun to explore, but at times they did felt like they were just big empty spaces for you to just zap around in your hover boots with. But for the most part, I did enjoy it. I was a bit worried about the female protagonist that joined you on the adventure, thinking that she would just be made to look better than Ratchet, but to my surprise and shock, she was actually a really cool character. Rivet was a highlight of the game for me, but I definitely want the next one to just focus more on Ratchet and Clank instead of Rivet and her robot pal. But yeah, it's a cool game. The trophy-wise, there's not really anything that can really challenge you, to be honest, because this is probably one of the more easier Ratchet and Clank games to platinum. Even the battle arenas and getting the gold bolts in there, they were just really basic. It's a very simple game to platinum, and a lot of the collectibles and stuff you need to get are always marked on the map. There was only one set of collectibles. I think it was the Krieger Bears or something like that. There was like one in each world, one in each level that you go to, and they weren't marked on the map. But if you use a guide for those, it's a very easy platinum. You don't even really need to do the usual Ratchet and Clank thing of playing through the game again on the challenge New Game Plus mode where everything's harder. It doesn't even have one for that. So yeah, it's a very, very easy platinum, probably one of the easiest Ratchet and Clank platinums, that's for sure. But it's a fun game, and it's just fun going through it and doing everything. Like the Spider-Man games, you like to just go through it, explore, and just pick up everything you can. And I think Insomnia does that really well. And this game, it's one of the highlights on the PS5 for its first year, that's for sure. It's a definite standout for me. And yeah, a great game and a fun platinum to do. One that anyone can get this platinum, really. So yeah, definitely recommend this one. I definitely feel like I got my money's worth out of PlayStation Plus this year, or at least at the first half of the year. There were some real bangers released on the program, and Playtale Innocence was one of them. I'd never played this before originally, and I just thought I'd give it a go because it looked kind of cool, and I absolutely loved it. I fell in love with the game, the world, the characters, and the story. It's really cool. The whole rats thing and how they can just easily kill you if you lose a light source. It's kind of terrifying at times. And it's just a really fun game, but I will say it's one that is fun the first time you play through. I can't see myself going back to it and doing it again, because there's a lot of like slower walking around sort of moments where you're not really doing anything. So replayability wise, I don't think it holds up as well as other games. But for the platinum, I just used a guide so I could find all of the collectibles as I went through, and there's a couple of miscellaneous missable trophies in certain chapters that you'll want to keep an eye on. You have your little brother in one of them, and if you go one way, you'll trigger a different cutscene, whereas if you go to the other side, you can do like a game of hide and seek. So there's ones that you can just miss in certain situations, so you need to be aware of those if you're going to go for the platinum. But yeah, other than that, there wasn't really anything that's hard to do in it. A couple of the puzzles you might get a bit stumped on. There's one in this like circular area where you have to use these cog things to move these, is it like a brazier thing with the flames on, and move them around this circular area. And that took me a while to figure out what the fuck I was supposed to do, but yeah, for the most part it's a fairly straightforward platinum journey, and a fun one at that, but definitely one you'll only want to do one playthrough of. So next up, it went a bit weird for me, to be honest. For some reason I ended up buying Balan Wonder World. I always call it Wonderland, but it's Wonder World. And this game was just it's really shit. It's a basic kids platformer where you have one button, and one button does your jump or it does your attack, and it's kind of a little bit like Mega Man in a way, where you can get costumes that give you different abilities, but they will only be on one button. So if your character uses like a sword or a boomerang and throws it to attack, that's all they'll do with the X button. You won't be able to jump with them then. So if you get to an area on a level where you've got a little curb, they won't be able to jump up to it, so you have to switch out a costume, and it's a really weird game, to be honest, and the platinum journey wasn't that fun. There was a few annoying trophies. There's one with these Tims, which are like, if you play Sonic Adventure, they're like these little chows that you can get in the hub world, and you have to wait for them to build up this tower in the hub world, but they only build the tower if you're sitting idle in the hub world. So there was a lot of time where I'm just standing around waiting for them to do stuff. There was an annoying trophy with these Balan Belts, which were these quick time events, and you had to get an excellent rank on all of them, and there was loads of issues with that, and that's why it was one of the bullshit trophies that I covered in a previous episode of the show. And then what else was there? There was another one that pissed me off as well. So yeah, it wasn't an enjoyable platinum journey, and it was really grating by the end of it, and it's just not a very well done game, a very well thought out and a very well designed game. So I wouldn't recommend buying this, playing it, or definitely not platinuming it, because it's just lackluster and just unpolished. Like, They had an idea, but that idea crippled the design of the game, and it didn't really work out well. Yuji Naka, the creator of this, also made Sonic the Hedgehog, and I just feel like he could have done a lot better on this. But yeah, it's not a good game to play, and it's definitely not a good one that you want to platinum, so definitely avoid this. Another one that I didn't expect to play this year was Terminator Resistance Enhanced Edition on PS5, but this one actually turned out to be a pleasant surprise because it's actually a pretty cool game, but you can tell it's not quite AAA. It is a budget sort of title, but it's still fun to go around with and play. But one of the complaints I would have with it is that the enemies are just really weak, and there's only like a handful of different enemy types, and after you've leveled up your character, you can kind of take down the Terminators in a couple of bullets, and it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't have that like Alien Isolation sort of dread when a Terminator comes into the area, and I feel like that's what it should have had. I should be scared and I should have to run away and not fight it, but for me I was just killing everything with a couple of bullets and my machine gun or whatever, so it's kind of a bit weird there. Trophy wise, it's a fairly straightforward list. There's like one missable trophy, I think, and it was the one for opening a random door, but you needed to make sure you'd leveled up your lockpick skill, but the rest of them, yeah, it's just a straightforward list. Complete the game, get kills with certain weapons, kill certain enemies. There's a few misc story ones that you can get, but you can go back and chapter select if you miss them. So yeah, it's an easy and short game to play, and kind of fun platinum journey, to be honest. Next up, we have a big PS5 exclusive called Deathloop, and this is kind of from it is from the makers of Dishonored and Prey, and it's very similar to those games, but it has this old time loop mechanic where you have a cycle of a day to kill all these targets, and you basically play 4 levels for different time periods of the day: the morning, afternoon, evening and night kind of thing. But don't let the fact that people call it like a roguelike put you off, because you can easily keep progress of a lot of things, and you can save, and you can do little cheats with the save file. If you're about to die, just power off the game, and you can go back to that start of that day kind of thing. So it's not like Returnal where it just punishes you constantly. It's quite fair, and you get like 3 lives, so you got 3 chances to complete that level. So it's kind of easy on you, basically. It's like a casual version of those games, and I did enjoy it. It's quite cool figuring out the story and seeing how Colt learns how to kill each target, and how he can kill a couple in the same part of the day, and how you learn out where they're all going to be and how best to kill them all. So that's kind of fun. Trophy wise, there's a couple of annoying trophies. There's one where you have to complete these trials for this person, and it's like a multi sort of layered trophy, and that can get kind of annoying. There's like a assault course that you've got to go through really quickly, and that's quite tough to do. There's a couple of weird trophies that I wasn't sure of how to get them, and there's a few trophies where you think, oh, this sounds hard, like completing a level without getting spotted or without killing any normal people. But there's a point in the story where you can just do those as part of the story really easily. So for the most part, it's a fairly easily platinum to get. You might have to do a couple of runs of the ending if you don't pick the right choices to get the different endings, but other than that, you won't really have too much trouble with this platinum journey. It's a fairly easy game, and you don't really get punished that much because it's quite easy to keep your weapons and things that you want to keep. And like I said, you get 3 lives anyway, so the chances of you dying aren't that high, to be honest. Definitely play offline if you're a bit worried about that. Though I will say there are 2 online trophies, one for killing Colt outright as Juliet, and one for using one of her abilities to turn yourself into Colt. So you may struggle with killing Colt because you do have to kill him 3 times, and you've got to make sure you kill him and not an enemy AI character in that level kills him. So that one might give you a little bit of trouble, but other than that, the rest of the trophies are easy. So next up we have Ghostrunner, which is the PS5 version of this PS4 Mirror's Edge crossed with Grey Fox the Ninja from Metal Gear Solid, and this one is absolutely an awesome game, but the PS5 version, when I played it for the Platinum, is very janky. It was crashing a lot, and it just didn't run as well as the PS4 version. So yeah, I don't really recommend this one on PS5, but I definitely recommend it on PS4. Though I will say it is a hard game. you can die in like one hit, but thankfully in this version you get like a casual mode where you can change it so you can get extra hits and you can slow down the game so it's easier to dodge the enemy bullets. So if you were to play this on PS4 back in the day, I would probably have rated it like an 8 or a 9 out of 10 for difficulty. But with all these new casual sort of easy settings, it's get down to like a 5 out of 10, I reckon. There's a trophy for completing an entire level without dying, which was hard before. There's a tricky trophy where you have to get 25 kills in a row without dying, but there's a certain level you can do it on where you can kill mostly robots. And there was another trophy which I can't quite remember now, that was a bit tricky, but with all of these new settings that they've added to the game, they do become a lot easier. So this is a much easier platinum than it used to be now, and it's a really fun game as well. It's an indie game, so it's not super long and it's not super in depth, but it is really fun to just run around, wall jumping, running off walls and using your sword to take out people. So it's definitely a fun platinum. Next up we have a remake of Alan Wake on PS5, and I unlocked the Platinum Trophy, which is what they called it, after beating all of the game's trophies. And I never played this because it was only over on the Xbox One, I think, but it's from the makers of Max Payne and Control, and I have to say I think this is hands down their best ever game that they've made. I absolutely fell in love with it and had an absolutely awesome time playing it, just walking through the woods with just your torch and a pistol. It's just so atmospheric and just so well done and so well detailed for like such an old game, and I think they did a really good job of just remastering it and updating the visuals. And I don't know whether they did anything with controls, but it feels really good to play. It takes a little bit getting used to how you aim, because it feels a little bit weird at first because you sort of move the flashlight. There's no like crosshair or anything, so it kind of takes a little bit of getting used to, because you basically aim with the sort of spotlight point of the torch, if you know what I mean. My only real issue with the Platinum journey in this game is the sheer amount of collectibles in the game. You have to get like 100 or so coffee thermoses, there's like TV shows you have to watch, radio stations you have to listen to, tin cans you have to shoot down, loads of manuscript pages that you need to pick up, chests that you have to find, and it just goes on and on, and there's just so many of them. And while it does give you a stat tracker of how many you have in total and how many there is in total, it never goes further and breaks it down by chapters. So if you get to the point of the game where you're at the end and you've got like one of each collectible type missing, you have no idea where it is. So I had to go through the game again, doing another playthrough, just picking them all up again, or at least going to where they were on the map again and thinking, okay, well that's not one because I've already got that. And eventually I found the couple I was missing. So that is a bit frustrating. It's a very collectibles heavy platinum. But other than that, the trophies are fairly easy. There's a couple where you have to complete level without dying, or which can be a little bit tricky, but just play it on easy. You do have to beat it on hard as well, but for that, best tactic is to just run through most of it and get to the light source checkpoints, because it kills all the enemies when you get there. So yeah, if you don't mind a ton of collectibles, this is another good platinum for you to go for, because it's a great game. Alright, well, there you have it. In the space of 1 year of the PS5 being out, I managed to unlock 24 PS5 specific Platinum trophies, which I don't think's bad going at all, to be honest. For the most part, they were all fairly decent games as well. There were a couple that had really annoying Platinum journeys. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this kind of different episode of that one bullshit PlayStation trophy. I just wanted to do something a little bit different to celebrate 1 year of the PS5 being on sale. So, how many Platinums have you managed to get on the PS5 in the first year? Or are you still struggling to actually find one of the damn things? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next week for another normal episode of that one bullshit PlayStation trophy. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.